I'm having problems with a tripod, so just give me a second, okay? You get out of my way. Okay. Let's see. There we go. There we go. I wasn't quite ready. It's really hot here. All right, now let me just clean my lens. Okay. And let's just move you back just a little bit. Here. Okay. How's that? How's that? How's everybody doing? Oh, shoot. Okay. Sorry, guys. I wasn't quite ready to go live. I'm all sweaty and hot. How's everybody doing? How is everybody doing today? Okay. Now, let me see. I'll give everybody a minute to get in, and then I will pop out the participants list. So, my doctor called this morning. And, God, I love my doctor. This is only the second time I met her, but we're doing really, really well. Hang on, I gotta put some Kleenex down my bosom to soak up. It's really hot. So, just an update on what's going on. Well, you know what? Let's wait for people to get in. Oh, gosh. For everybody who saw my Facebook post about my brakes this morning, I posted too soon. The one side was fine. The other side, the brake pad was worn to nothing. So, Howie went out and bought me some cheap brakes and took it out of the car payment, so hopefully things will get back to normal after payday. Hey, let me say hi to everybody. Uh-oh, what did I just drop? Okay, that's just there's some Medusa on the mat behind me, laying in front of the fan on her blankie. She doesn't like to lay directly in front of a fan. She has ear issues. So when she sleeps with me at night, she goes under a sheet or under a blanket so that the wind doesn't get in her ears. She's not one of those dogs that hangs her head out the car window. She will sometimes, like on the back roads, but on the highway, she's like, no. So let me say hi to everybody. If you want me to say hi, you gotta come in right now and say hello, or you won't be on the participants list and I can't say hello to you. You know what? Give me a second. I have to share this. Hang on. Oh, somebody's here for a treat. And I don't know if I can get, and I think I figured this out. This tripod. Yes. That's as low as I can get it to turn. Oh my God, she heard her name. Oh my goodness. Let me see. It doesn't look too bad. We got to get you some Q-tips. Let me see that. That one little spot right there. That one little spot. See? Hold still. Let me see. Oh, baby. Yes. The mama girl, aren't you? Oh, God, that's so hot, Gracie. Your breath is so hot. And I just got the sweat off me. That's okay. Mommy loves you. Hey, do you want a treat? Oh, do you want a treat? Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Last night, she has a tin. Oh, good girl. You want one more? You can have 3. Give me a kiss. Mommy kiss. Mwah. There you go. Okay, go lay down in front of the fan. Lay down, baby. Don't make eye contact. Okay. So I'm learning to use this new tripod that my friend Corey was so generous to send me. And it's a great tripod. I just need it back a little bit farther. Okay. Now, wait a minute. All right, let's pop out the participants now. Hey, Natalie, Barbara M., Barefoot Chickens, Betty Randall, Cindy Cooper, Diane Sonnenberg. That's a new name, isn't it? Jules, Kim, Solomon, Leanne, Linda Vinord. What a lovely name. Is it Vinord or Vinord? Lori Peer, Majid Muhammad Esmail. Welcome. Mama T, Minnesota farmer's wife. How's it going? Skippity-doo. Natasha B, Samoa. Pam P.S., Samantha Nelson, Sherry Leeds, and Shirley Cook. All right, let's get this done, and then let's pop out the chat. Here we go. So, Howie's outside right now. I do believe he's making a video. Okay. But he had the one set pulled off, and he said, oh, no, it was just seized from lack of use. Thank you, Trudeau, for the carbon tax that makes it almost impossible for me to go anywhere in my truck without it costing me a fortune. And the carbon tax is going to go up another 60%. Hey, just an old hippie. Jules, hi. Vinord, you had it right. Vanord. Okay. Hi, Di. How are you? Okay. Now, I just have to do one more thing here. I have to share this. No, hang on a second. Oh, well, whatever. Oh, shoot. Where did my chat go? Okay, here we go. So, I got my bathroom half cleaned. I got the tub, the toilet, and the sink done, and I've just got to wipe down the appliances and sweep and mop that floor. I got to do it while I can, right? Oh, I got my x-rays, and I figured it out. I found my pelvic x-ray, like the one hip x-ray that shows all the little spaceships in there. The hell are they doing all the way down there? Hey! Very Celtic lady and Homestead Tessie, hi! How are you? You know what? I did that potato salad once before, but I didn't freeze it first, and it was still really good. But if you freeze it first, and then you mix it and put it in the fridge, those little cubes of potato, they hold their shape unless you mash them. So stirring them in while they're frozen lets them hold their shape. As a matter of fact, there was no potato salad left after supper last night because a stoner got into it last night. It was amazing. And I'm telling you, the pantry is getting low. I'm out of mayo. I'm out of relish. I'm out of all sorts of stuff that I'm going to make some mayo because I do have eggs and that, but I'm not going to make it until I need it, really. It was really good. It was really, really good. So, I'm on Talk Chat, not Live Chat. So, Howie's replacing the back brakes on my truck. We have been invited to Nan's 85th birthday party in Fraserville, Ontario, this coming weekend. And I'm not sure we're going to be able to go. Thank you, Trudeau. But if we can't go, I look at it. What's really sad is, not 25 minutes away from where my mother-in-law's birthday is going to be celebrated, my nephew from Australia is in town for his 50th birthday. And I only get to see, last time I saw him was January 2020. when we went to my nephew Mikey's wedding. It was the last time I saw my nephew Aaron. And his son's down too. He came down early to spend some time, you know, visiting with family. So it's kind of heartbreaking that we can't go, because even like Howie's car needs stuff, right? It needs bearings, it needs, you know, drums and rotors and all that stuff. And it's worse off than my truck, but we'd have to take the truck. And that's like $200 in gas there and back. And we'd have to stay overnight too, right? Hey Pam, I've missed all this week's lives. I didn't do a lot of lives this week, sweetie. I only got a message from my doctor on the phone. But she says she hasn't got the full radiology report yet. She's only got the x-rays. And they're not necessarily for diagnosis. But she said it looks like your knees have degenerated. And we're going to have to talk more about your pain management and physiotherapy. So I have no idea. She said she's going to be away for 3 weeks. That if I want to talk to her, I'm to call her on Monday. Isn't that amazing? After all this time, all these years of not being heard, or fighting for years to be heard by a doctor, I got a doctor who took one look at the report from the emergency room and sent me back to the hospital for x-rays. And my blood work was great. My blood pressure was perfect. 126/82 was my blood pressure. And then she phoned me this morning. I wasn't awake, but she phoned me this morning saying, this is what's going on, and we'll talk more when I get, you know, the full radiology report. So my doctor phoned my house. Do you know how many years I've needed a doctor that would do that? I have a good doctor. I've had her for 3 years or more. I've had her since the pandemic, but I've only met her twice now. But she's a great doctor. I love this doctor. Now, if you want, I'll put the one pelvic x-ray up for y'all to see the little satellite things. Now, if I have mesh, an abdominal mesh behind my belly button, why is these things all down there? Yes, I am doing a channel on cooking with cannabis. Shoot, you know what? Hang on a second, guys. I'll be right back. I just have to go over onto Facebook and share this, because just give me a second. Put your head on my shoulder, whisper in my ear. Musical interlude. Baby, words I long to hear. Tell me. I can't remember the rest. Okay. There. And whoops. I know it's Saturday, so there's not a lot of people here. People are out doing things, but I forgot to send this to my my moderators and stuff like that. So let's hope that okay. All right, that's all I can do at the moment. Now, I'm going to go over to my Rumble page, and I'm going to get you the link for my Cooking with Cannabis channel. Okay? It is now on Rumble. And I am eventually going to start doing more work, not just on my Cooking with Cannabis channel, but on my Let's Talk, Mrs. Wolfie Let's Talk channel on Rumble. because, you know, YouTube doesn't like me talking about the truth and stuff like that. Okay, that's cooking with cannabis. And now let's find my other one. Mrs. Wolfie's Let's Talk. Copy, and then we'll get right back here. Paste, and then we'll visit again. Okay. All right, F11. Can canna tea be chilled after it's done cooking, like iced tea? Well, as long as you don't mind milk in it. Now, I'm going to be doing a video on cooking with cannabis later today for canna milk, okay? Because it has to have fat, unless you're using, like if you use a distillate, you can make a pitcher of tea, cold tea, and put it in the fridge using the distillate. You just make sure you shake it every time you use it. But the way I use all of mine from our homegrown organic. So I don't do distillate. I don't even do oil, because I don't like bringing, 90 proof alcohol into my house. Not because it would tempt me, it's just because the smell makes me sick to my stomach. After 26 years of sobriety, I can't stand the smell of alcohol. But hey, Pioneer Girl. Oh, I'm going to pop this chat out. Hey, Joe. It is Saturday. Yes, it is. That's why I am on Our Half Acre Homestead, not Life with the Wolfies. Right? So, what was I saying? Yes, you can do that. I'm going to be making a video on making canna milk, because it is so much easier for me to make a bottle of canna milk, and it comes out taupe looking, like greeny brown. If I have a bottle of that in the fridge, if I want a hot chocolate, or if I want it in a cup of tea before bed, even if I wanted to slice up some bananas and pour a little bit of it on there and cover it in whipped cream, or mix it into whipped cream, or make canna whipped cream. Do you feel me? The heavier the fat, the better the pain management properties are. Hey, Corey! Andrew, hello! I legally vape and have ABV. I copy the recipes. What's ABV? I copy the recipes as if it's just decarbed flour. Hi! Hey! Sherry, baby! Mwah! I love you, Sherry. I'm singing to Nana's Menagerie and Sherry Leach, my Sherrys. Yeah, hey, how was the lake, Sherry? You went out to the lake, didn't you? Tired, blah, rain on and off. I wish we'd get some rain. Sorry, I've got to fix my hair. Beat the heck out of whipping cream when you got canna ice cream. Well, you can make that too. I actually think I have. If my no-churn canna ice cream is not on cooking with cannabis, I have to work on that channel. I downloaded Freaky Friday patrons from last night, and I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to upload it on Rumble. I know I can't monetize it because it's, music, but hang on a second, guys. I'm sorry. I've been quite the busy lady today, in between sitting down. This is my day 2 without a walker. Well, that's not necessarily true. By the time Freaky Friday was over last night, I needed my walker to go to bed. But it was worth it. It was so worth it. Hey, Legacy Homesteading! And I'm talking about Sherry as Nana's Menagerie. Was fun to watch the sunset over the lake and eat KFC before the... Oh, you had Dirty Bird, did you? That's what we call it, Dirty Bird. We don't eat it anymore because it started making our mouths swell, our lips swell, and our mouths hurt. Howie can't even drink the city water in Ottawa that they have at his work. He has to take a almost a 4-liter bottle of our well water to work with him, or his mouth breaks out. And you know what they're saying? I'm glad you got to watch the sunset. Would love some new ideas for cannabis, Bev. Well, the problem is, okay, is I only do so many things. The most convenient for me is the can of milk, because I drink tea constantly. Well, not right now. But I mean, this is left over from last night, and I'm sipping on it now. All right, Linda, you take care. Mwah, take care. God bless. And I was so glad you were here. So, you can make concentrated iced tea. I think it's in the ball canning book. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, can of milk. Trust me, it does not taste good. Can of milk does not taste good at all. It's like, right? That's the only time I put sugar in my tea. It's because I just can't help it. So I'll watch the replay tonight. Bye all. Okay, Linda, you take care, sweetheart. Hey, Julie Skugya, just let the camera roll. Just take us with you. What, when I'm making the can of milk? But I'm doing that. I'm going to be making some can of milk. And, there is absolutely nothing to adding that to like a recipe of no churn ice cream. You know what I mean? It is a strong taste, but that may be because I have to take more than most people, because I do edibles like my milk and my tea, 2 days on, 2 days off. 2 days on, 3 days off, 2 days on, 3 days off. So I don't build up too high of a tolerance to it, but I still, having been a medical marijuana user since 2013, I just had a brain fart. I still have a high tolerance for it, right? Like people say, I puff away, on 1 or 2 a day, and I don't feel anything. It's not that it doesn't make me high anymore. It just helps me manage my pain. I'm not high, it just helps me manage my pain. Do you know how I know? Because if I'm traveling and I have to go 2 days or even 24 hours without it, the pain gets really bad. So it's not a painkiller. It's a relaxant and a pain manager, right? Joe, well, I've got the X-rays, and I'll tell you, if you want to see my pelvic X-ray, I'll put it on the thumbnail. I got space aliens in there. That's why the radiologist asked me. I heard from the doctor this morning, Joe. She left a message for me. She called my house, not the secretary, her. And she said there's some degenerative issues. She didn't necessarily say in my knees either. She said there's some degenerative issues. So we're going to have to talk about more working on your pain management and probably some physiotherapy. And that's not even the MRI yet. You know what I mean? So when you don't smoke, you feel the pain. Exactly. If I don't smoke, like the last time we went down to see Bubba, and we're going on the 22nd. The last time we went down to see Bubba, I didn't take any medicinal with me. I didn't take any to smoke, because I didn't want the baby. I didn't want to smell like an ashtray. I don't want my grandbaby to smell me and identify me with the smell of marijuana, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but and I haven't seen him since he was 2 months old. He's crawling. He's trying to stand. But, and I'll tell you, when it was a 2.5, 3 hour drive, 3 hour drive, and then we visited for about 4 hours, and then it was a 3 hour drive home. But before we left, I said to Howie, I never even thought to bring something rolled for the ride home. And my son said, "Here you go," because he vapes, right? But he said, "I got all sorts of this," and he brought me out a roller and a grinder and everything, and he said, "Here, Mom, well, what you need to get you home." I love my kids. I talked to Briar yesterday, and he works, poor baby. He works from, I think he gets Wednesday and Thursday off, or is it Tuesday and Wednesday? But he works all his weekends. But he's taking his dad to a concert like on the 24th. And on a Monday night, and he had to swap out a shift for that because he works on those days, right? Michelle, hi, darling. That's the nurse who, when I went to see my doctor before the day of the X-rays and stuff, before the X-rays, the nurse who took down all my stuff, it was really cute. The nurse who took down all my stuff, she said, "You know they have pills for that, eh? They have cannabis pills." I said, "I can't." I said, "The synthetic ones?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "I can't have them." She said, "Why?" I said, because I feel like I'm crawling with lice when I take them, and I twitch it's really weird, and it's not because when I was taking. I've always loved the way you take your health into your hands. Also giving something for those ignorant so-called doctors to chew on. I always say a prayer for you and Mr. V's health and prosperity. Well, thank you, Legacy. Weekday concerts. Yeah, they're going, usually at Christmas time. Okay, remind me about the concert and I'll tell you how that came about. Knee shots may help, but I don't know. I'm not assuming anything. I, for once, have put everything in the capable hands of my doctor. And that is such a relief to say. Such a relief to say. So yes, by the time my son offered me something for the ride home, I could barely walk. I could barely move, right? I've been working on a water-soluble THC powder to mix with drinks. Really? Jules, can you send me, if you get that recipe, can you send it to me? And I will put it on, my Cooking with Cannabis channel when you get it, and I will credit you for the recipe. I would really love to know how that works. Sandy Brown. Hi, Sandy. How are you? Barefoot Chicken. Barefoot. Michelle Maria. Dark Lord Manette. How are you? Repurposed Backyard. So yeah, I'm gonna call my doctor on Monday, and it is a huge leap of faith because I've had to educate my doctors my entire life. Did you know that? You don't want to hear the story. I mean, the very first lesson that nobody got until my third or fourth surgery was that I can't have Demerol. And that happened when I got my tonsils out when I was 12. You get your tonsils out and then vomit 7 times after surgery. And the nurses are standing there going, I don't know why she keeps vomiting. But they kept giving me the Demerol, right? Well, when you perfect it, Jewel, here is my email address. Did I spell that? Connected Hearts Family at gmail.com. If you get something that works, that would be a huge blessing to me in weather like this, because then I could make iced tea. You know what I mean? Well, I have can of Kool-Aid just mixed with water. Where do you get that? See, I want to be able to make this stuff and then share it with people, right? That was the whole point of starting the Cooking with Cannabis channel on YouTube. You know, it's still sitting at 18,100 subscribers. 18,100 subscribers. It's only dropped 200 subscribers since they demonetized it and shut it down. They don't let me put anything on there. You know, anything I do put on, they say it's plus 18. You know what I mean? I can't put videos on how to bake or how to, you know, how to make canna milk and stuff on my YouTube Cooking with Cannabis channel, because I'll get another strike and they'll close the channel. I've got 2 strikes on that channel. So I wish there was some, like, and I did a video on there saying, hey guys, come over to Rumble, but it's how I found your channels. Well, thank you. Well, exactly, right? Yellow bird up high in the banana tree. Hey, Distu, what's the weather where you are? Muggy. Hot and muggy. I've got a fan going full tilt here and a fan going full tilt in the hall. Just, I'm sorry to hear that. I wasn't sure of the new channel, Bev. Well, it is what it is, right? Oh my God. 111, there's 111 people and 33 thumbs ups. And that's, I'm not complaining. I'm just, if Angie was here, she'd know what I was talking about. But, yeah, of course you can say censorship. That's the way it is. It is what it is. And with Turdo, not to get political, folks, but with Turdo still at the helm, he's passed censorship bills so that Facebook, people can't post Canadian news and stuff on Facebook, or because, you know, the news media isn't getting the, I don't know what the brain fart was behind that, but, you know, Trudeau has gone after Google and Facebook. And, you know, I have to start building up my Rumble channels really fast because, you know, I may be kicked off of YouTube. I have no idea what's next. I don't even know what I'm allowed to say. And guess what? Rumble's a Canadian company and it's uncensored. So, yeah, they wonder why they're losing money. And I'm losing money hand over fist. I was at 18,500 subscribers, 500 subscribers. So I've lost 4. 18,500 subscribers on my Cooking with Cannabis channel. I was just starting to make $20 a month when they demonetized me and told me that I, you know, even though I had a disclaimer saying I am a Canadian legal medical marijuana user when I started that channel. My husband was my legal grower, and he still is. Right? Because I can't look after those plants myself because they get huge. But even though I had disclaimers, I had my own song that was put out. Well, it wasn't my song, but I was allowed to use a song called, I forget what it's called, S.O.B. or something. S.O.C. I can't remember now. But, and they demonetized me. And that had so much financial potential for me. And all of that work, down the drain. And now I have to start all over on Rumble, where I'm not making any money because I don't have the thousands, tens of thousands of subscribers that I have on YouTube. You know what I mean? Another Sherry, baby, I love you, Sherry's. It is just another way for control, right? I mean, there's so much crazy crap going on in the world, folks, that we have to be constantly shining with the light of the Creator's love to keep the darkness at bay. Because we're being hammered and have been being hammered for 10 years. It started well before the pandemic, but we've been being hammered for 10 years. You know, I marched against Monsanto. I marched to legalize marijuana. I went to the Freedom March, or the Freedom Rally, the week before the convoy. And I've lost subscribers because I backed our truckers. And I was at the convoy. And I paid, you know, a ticket for blowing my horn. I had to pay the ticket. I should have went and fought it. I'll never I'll never pay a ticket again if I don't fight it. Thank you, Sherry. Repurposed. A lot of people are switching to Thread. Well, see, I have been looking. Rumble came into my life at a time when I went from. I looked at Twitch and I looked at all these different websites, and I had to ask them, am I going to be censored if I do bring my and I explained my Cooking with Cannabis channel. I explained that I was legal. This was before marijuana was legal in Canada. That I had all these subscribers, and they said, no, we won't let you put that stuff up there. We will not touch cannabis. So it's like it wasn't until Rumble came that I had a chance again. But guys, I've been on YouTube with Our Half Acre Homestead this September for 14 years. And you'd think I'd be making more than I am. Last summer was my best year. And 10%, 20% of that income I made last year has to be paid to the Quebec government now. It's just absolutely insane. But it took me a long time, to build up trust with my YouTube family. I'm way beyond calling folks my subscribers. I stopped calling you folks subscribers years ago because you're my YouTube family. You, not just my YouTube family, you're my internet family, right? And never more was that needed for all of us than when the pandemic hit. Apparently, Threads has a disclaimer that you give them full access to all your content, your images and your voice and everything. Nah, see, I won't do that. Well, I'm still on Facebook. But I only post. I post like once or twice a week. All I do is I send my videos out on that for people who haven't gone to Gab. Gab is uncensored social media. And a lot of people go, oh no, China. Oh guys, China is so immersed into North America, you wouldn't know it if it jumped up and bit you on the arse. Honestly. We have especially here in Canada, way too much influence of communist China, right? So whether Gab comes from China or not doesn't matter. I'm uncensored there, and they just don't have Messenger. That's why I keep Facebook Messenger, so that I can, for my friends who are not on Gab, and I can send them, because YouTube people aren't getting notified of the YouTube either. I do know that Instagram is owned by Mark Zuckerberg as well, right? Well, you know what? Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Jules. And there are two channels. The channel, Mrs. Wolfie Let's Talk, is all the things I'm not allowed to say here. So be warned. I say highly controversial things on Rumble. And there's a reason I only put out a video on Rumble like every 8 weeks. Because it takes a lot of emotional prayer and meditation for me to be able to go in and say the hard things to say without contaminating my spirit. Does that make sense? So I go into Rumble, and it takes me weeks to do my research, and then I go into Rumble and I post it and I say what I need to say, and I upload it, and then afterwards I have to smudge and do some prayer and meditation to leave it there. Does that make sense? Hey, Katrina babe, how are you, darling? Today is a good day. I'm glad. Yes, Yes, when Gab is like Facebook but without Messenger. Okay? I'm on Gab. The only thing you got to know about Gab is it is totally uncensored. There's a lot of. Now, I know people used to say I was a loopy conspiracy theorist, and now they're calling me Mama Spoiler Alert. Okay? But there's a lot of weird stuff on there. Okay? There's a lot of religious stuff on there. There's a lot of hate stuff on there. But guess what? That's the price of free speech. You have to learn to scroll past the stuff that you don't even. Do not argue with if somebody's just spouting absolutely crazy stuff, don't argue with them, just scroll by. Because if somebody's being an idiot on the internet and you argue with them, now you got two idiots, right? I had to learn that the hard way. It is a hot day, Michelle. Absolutely. Do you have to pay for Rumble? Absolutely not. I have to pay for Rumble. You don't. It's a little clunky, right? And but it is also completely uncensored. You know, you'll find Matt Walsh and Man in America and stuff like that. My Facebook is permanently, my feed is permanently down to 10%. In other words, no matter what I post, you guys only see 10% of it. That's how heavily censored I am on Facebook, right? But I still post stuff, hoping it'll get out there, right? So, two wrongs don't make a right. That's right. Exactly. Unless in math, then you got a negative times a negative equal, or plus a negative equals a positive, or something like that. But it's been a long time since I was in algebra. Stupidity doesn't deserve my peace, whether online or in person. These boots were made for walking. You see, nothing is worth tampering with being content and in touch with yourself and in touch with your faith. Nothing's worth that, right? But a family member actually, which is really beautiful to see, because I have a lot of family that just really doesn't talk to me. Why? Because they think I'm in Lululand. You know, forget Lululemons. I'm in Lulu La La Land. I'm just an absolute nut bar. And that's okay. Because even with friends and family, you have to know when to shut your mouth to keep the peace. And I do. But I don't shut my mouth online for nobody. Right? And I had a family member recently saying, thank you for saying the hard things that have to be said. I said, my biggest problem my whole life has been my absolutely uncensored reaction to unfairness, foul play, and lies. Right? It drove my father nuts because I still have no filter. Right? We wear our aluminum hats proudly. Absolutely, Celtic lady. Hey, KB. Jen Condren, hi. If I'm missing you guys, I'm sorry. You know what? It's okay, because I see my family when I need to. And that's okay. I love my family, and I know my family loves me. They're just afraid to talk to me because they're afraid I will spark an argument. I forget sometimes and say the wrong thing and almost get hung up on. I forget sometimes when I say the wrong the wrong things to the wrong people, or the right things to the wrong people, or the wrong things to the right people. The thing is, right, is My whole problem, my whole life, is not being able to shut my mouth when I see injustice. And it started with Saturday morning cartoons. Because in the summertime, in the wintertime, summertime, whatever, on Saturdays, once a month, Mom would make a huge bacon and egg and blood pudding and hash brown breakfast, and we'd all sit around. But most Saturdays, Mom and Dad slept in. And we were allowed to go down and have oatmeal or cereal and watch cartoons, but until no later than 1 in the afternoon, then it was out the door. You go skating, you go tobogganing, or build snow forts, or go to the local swimming pool, or whatever. Just be home by the time the street lights come on. But I went down one Saturday morning. I was the first up. I always was. I used to be a morning bird. My daughter got me a t-shirt that says, "No filter." I loved it. No one can say they weren't warned. Exactly. So I was watching cartoons. And my 2 older brothers, the middle ones, came downstairs and just changed the channel to wrestling. And I said, "Hey, I was watching that." "Well, now you're not." And so I got up and changed the channel back. Now remember, these are dials on the TV. And I stood in front of the TV. And they pushed me out of the way, so I unplugged the bloody thing. And I got shoved and pushed around. So I went to my father. "Hey, Danny love, my Danny love, I need you, oh how you need your love." Anyway, I went to my father. I was really upset. And he said, "Why do you fight with them, Bev? You can't win." I said, "Because they're wrong." And he just went, "Oh." I said, "Because it's not fair, Dad." And he just hung his head and sighed. And he said, "Honey, life's not going to be fair ever." And that was it. My mom was passed away. I was 9 years old. Yeah, we had cable. It was the cable box. Right. But changing the channel still messed it up, right? On the dial. So that's me. And that's been my problem my whole life. But you know what it is now? It's my right. It's my right to say the things I feel. It's my right to say, "You know what? You don't have to look at this or listen to this if you don't want to. But I'm here if you want to." Feel me? Hey! Kay! It's gotta be Kay Dean! How are you? So that's me, right? So when you say are my live streams on Gab, I post them on Gab. I post them on Facebook. I post them on Twitter, because Twitter at least is still uncensored. I post them on Facebook. I post them on Twitter, and I post them on Gab. And I just, post them out to the universe and see what happens. Hey, Copycat! How are you, darling? Your name's Copycat, but you have a dog for your picture? So anyway, the concert. See, I'm like a monkey in a tree. I start at the trunk and I go boom, 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 all over the place with subjects, but I always try and come back to the trunk. Briar and Howie have had a long-standing arrangement at Christmas time for about 5 or 6 years now. Ever since Briar's been working, every year at Christmas, he makes a homemade card for his dad. And it says, good for one concert up to $150, including a t-shirt kind of thing. And a $20 Tim card. Well, then we had the pandemic, didn't we? And Briar couldn't take his dad to a concert. So they're going on the 24th to Ottawa to see Avenged Sevenfold. I wish I could go, but it's their thing, right? Winston is a great doggy name. I know. So it's a big name. It's a huge name for British Bulldogs because of Winston Churchill. Hey, Terry Harmon, how are you? Laura Higgins, hi, darling. So they're going to their first concert in 3 years. That's a Dad and Briar thing. It always has been. Like their music. The music is the one thing that we can all disagree or agree on, but it's never a bad thing. You know what I mean? I mean, when Briar lived here, and I drove him to and from work, especially when he worked at the mill, one of the big things was it was like a half an hour, or, you know, a 20-minute drive each way, and I'd be picking him up at midnight some nights, right? In the winter, and we'd have these long conversations on the way home. But on the way to work, usually, he's like taking over the radio and playing his Spotify and say, Mom, you gotta listen to this. Mom, you gotta listen to this. And Howie's the one, like I went to 2 concerts before I met Howie. And ever since Howie, I've seen so many concerts that my musical education never stops growing. And I miss those drives with Briar. Because like the last time was a few weeks back, I took him shopping because he works during the week, right? Like he works in the afternoons and evenings. And he introduced me to, I can't remember what it's called. Sleepless Nights or something. I wear a tag at the rummage sale. Crazy person belongs in books. I wear a tag at the rummage sale. Crazy person belong in books. Well, yeah, they have, that's their thing. But Briar made sure he took me to see Muse, right? And that was an emotionally challenging concert. But that's an old story I don't want to talk about. I don't love concerts. I love bands and rodeo type things, music. Well, when I say concerts, a lot of these concerts have been outdoors, right? Like when Howie and I were, before we went totally gray, we went to see the Guess Who where was that? It was on one of the venues in Ottawa, right? Howie would remember. But he was wearing this what are those really nice, they're not sheep, but they produce alpaca. He was wearing an alpaca knitted poncho. And his hair was like, you know, kind of curly, and it was about here, and he had a mustache, and it was all brown. And I guess someone, who was the lead singer for the Guess Who guys? This is lorazepam and tinnitus is causing me with memory lapses, not to mention the medical marijuana. Burton Cummings. So Howie was up buying us bottles of water, and I guess somebody told this young girl, she was like 20 or so. He said, "There's Burton Cummings right there." At the stand. And she walked up to Howie and she said, "Excuse me, are you Burton Cummings?" And he started to laugh. He said, "Who told you I was Burton Cummings, honey? I'm a lot younger than that man." Right? But he looked like him, right? What's going on? Big Rims! Laura! Going to watch some old videos after this. Your cooking videos are so calming to me. It's Laura, right? Big Rims? Did I get your name right? I haven't seen you since I was live streaming from the basement. Hey, Joanna Parrish. How's it going? I just took the brisket off the smoke. Oh, sorry. I just started to drool immediately. I hope you feel better soon, Big Rims. I just 291. Wait a second. My husband took my 83-year-old mom to see Bruce Springsteen. She had the time of her life, something she wanted to check off her bucket list. Apparently going to the Muse concert was my mother-in-law's bucket list for my mother-in-law too. Now she doesn't remember, so. Marnie! Big Rims Marnie. I knew there was an A and an R in there, right? How are you, darling? I hope you feel better soon. Gets the mop and bucket for the drooling about the brisket. Yeah, exactly. Every year she gets me a crazy shirt like that. I stopped buying my family crazy shirts because they never wear them. Well, Briar does sometimes. No, she's just 85. What's the date today? She's 85 next week. That's, and she's just, she's 85, right? Hey, Dimebeth, how's it going, honey? I gotta find out that webpage she gets them on. Please and thank you. Hey, Matthew, hi, how are you? How is Chicago today? I bet you it's hot as it is here. My stepdad was always pointed out by others as Kenny Rogers, and I get questioned about my family ties to Eddie Vedder. Are you related to Eddie Vedder? Oh my God. Paula, don't tell me that. Just had gastric bypass, was able to catch you live. Hey, Moon Snowflakes. Okay, here's what you need to know about gastric bypass. You just gave up your best friend. And do yourself a favor. Don't try even tasting the stuff that you used to eat. Because all it does is make you want more and your stomach won't handle it. So please, 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 if I can impart two things to you. Always have a glass or jar of water on hand. Because if you get dehydrated, you cannot chug water. You'll end up in the hospital on IV. Always sip, 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 sip. Okay? And stick to proteins and vegetables and fruit. All right? Congratulations. It's an emotional journey. You're not sure. Oh, right. Okay. He was so short, Kenny Rogers. Yes, Moon, safe recovery, and sending love and healing thoughts your way. Absolutely. Heal quickly and keep walking around to help with the pains. Yep. I'm going to say if you eat bread, make sure it is well toasted, because bread, raw bread, will end up like a ball of dough in your stomach and you'll end up heaving. And I'll tell you something. Did you have a Roux-en-Y gastric bypass, or did you have a sleeve? Okay? Or did you have a duodenal switch? There are 3 different methods for that. My husband reminded me of Kenny Rogers. You know what? How he gets his beard and his hair going in the wintertime, oh my goodness, the little girls, they look at him like, is that my grandpa? Or is that Santa Claus? Right? But the guy who plows our driveway, Jimmy Carroll, wow, he had white beard and white hair and the brightest, twinkliest blue eyes you've ever seen. And so every once in a while he says, "Hey, Bev, it's your snowman," because he's not just my snowman, he's my go-to man. He's like my husband number 2, except I don't have to feed him and I don't have to look after him, right? I'm on Opozemic, delayed stomach emptying, and bread stays in my stomach for hours. Big ball, like you said. Opozemic is a diabetes thing that has a weight loss side effect, apparently. Don't let that fool you. I was on, I've been on this antidepressant that I've been on for 30 years now. And they told me that one of the side effects was another brain fart. What's the eating disorder? Not bulimia, anorexia. Well, a side effect from mine is anorexia. And I looked at her and she looked at me and said, is that going to be a problem? Being as I was, 290 pounds at the time. But look at me today. I still had to have gastric bypass. I was going to have the gastric bypass surgery also after I had a failed lap band years ago. Well, the thing is it's only a short-term solution to a long-term behavioral issue. Okay? Because anybody who's overweight, even if you have issues with your thyroid and stuff, anybody who has a weight problem has an emotional attachment to food. You're not going to say any different to me, right? And we have to, gastric bypass and lap band surgery is a short-term solution because your body will figure out how to gain weight real quick. Because it goes into starvation mode. And after a while, your body stops losing weight because it's like, no, there's something wrong with you that you're losing weight this fast. So in the time that you're losing the weight, you have to retrain yourself how to eat for fuel and not for flavor, or not necessarily flavor, but not for emotional, because we grew up using food for celebration. Remember me telling you about the Christmas tree, going to the Christmas tree, my dad's Toronto Hydro Christmas do for families, and going to the diner for breakfast beforehand, or lunch, I can't remember which. I was really little, I was like 5, because my mom was with us. And I only remember getting a spirograph and seeing a big, huge Christmas tree on the auditorium stage. And not for volume, exactly. Yeah, we all have an ongoing affair with bacon. You're absolutely, as a matter of fact, we had pancakes and bacon for the first time in weeks today. I've been overweight for a very long time, took a long time to get here, and I know that I have to change my relationship with food. I'll keep you posted about Opozemic. Okay, good. I canned some zesty zucchini relish this week. Oh, my zucchinis are... I can't wait. I got it, because we're out of relish. I'm listening to Gabermate and doing a self-love workbook, hoping to fix weight issues as well as anxiety. Doctor says self-love will make a difference for me. Now, does everybody know what self-love is? Because you see, our biggest problem today is that we have been being programmed for well over 150 years to be reliant on things other than ourselves. Does that make sense? Hey, Buffalo Estate, and you're in Amsterdam. Oh, that would be lovely. I'm on Mounjaro. I've lost 60 pounds. I'm off 2 insulin and 2 blood pressure meds. Awesome. I bake like a madwoman when I'm sad. Makes everyone else happy. Thank you for the healing vibes. It's very hard. Big adjustment. Down 20 pounds since surgery. Okay. All right. I lost 50 pounds in the first 2 months. And I felt it. Now, I gained back. I went from 415 pounds down to 247. And then my ovaries got sick. I had a full-time job and everything. My ovaries got sick. And my body went, you're not allowed to lose any more weight until you're fixed. My ovaries didn't get fixed until 2012, and I was working. This was 2006 in the bakery. 2006 to 2007 in like an 18-month period. So I started gaining back weight. And it never stopped. And then I went and had my ovaries removed. And all my hernias, the 6 hernias I earned on that in that bakery. And I started to lose weight again. Go figure. So right now, last year I got down to 301 pounds. See, I went back up to 373. Last summer I got down to 301 pounds because I was juicing. Can't afford to do that right now. So I'm eating a lot of fruit, like watermelon and apples. Apples, by the way. Oh, Brad, I just made a dozen of Bev's bagels yesterday in the Texas heat of the day. Ooh, I should make some bagels. 4 plain, 4 orange craisins, 4 everything. I have everything bagel. Now, did you put the everything bagel stuff in the bagels? Or did you put them just on the bagels? Just asking. So here's welcoming your journey. And, okay, self-love. Let's go back to that. Self-love is when you love yourself enough to recognize your own poor behavior, your own poor choices, and to be honest with yourself. Honesty with yourself, okay, is the first step in self-love. Honesty is not easy. I have journals full. Now, I'm really lucky because I was in a 12-step program for alcohol. Well, I'm sober 26 years from alcohol, okay? I don't see marijuana as a drug. I look at it as a medicine, an herbal medicine, and that's that. So last summer, I got down to 301 pounds. And then I'm a bear, okay, guys? Like, yes, my totem animal, which is my spirit, my animal guide, is the wolf. But my spirit animal is the black bear. And I hibernate in the winter, and I gain weight. So when it came time to almost plant the garden, I was 325 pounds. I was 319 this morning. So I'm doing the best I can, but I'll tell you something about apples. Apples are a soluble fiber. You know how they used to say an apple a day keeps the doctor away? 3 apples a day now. Because apples have been hybridized and we don't have the nutritional value they used to have 150 years ago, okay? But if you eat 3 apples a day, it doesn't raise your blood sugar because it's a soluble fiber. Your bowels will thank you and you will lose weight. You will lose weight. I live on apples, but it's summertime, so they're joined by watermelon, right? Your spirit animal is not a sloth, honey, but you might. Thank you, Jules. Sandy Brown, hey, thank you. I was 26 years sober from alcohol on June 2nd. June, which is really odd because, thank you. You know what? It's easy today. I'll never take it for granted. I live one day at a time, right? Because there'll be a time when a commercial will come on TV. They never used to be able to put hard liquor on TV, only beer. Did you know that? I don't know about any other country, but in Canada, in the 70s, you could only promote beer on TV, not alcohol or cigarettes, right? And they changed that after I got sober, a couple of years after I got sober. And every once in a while, you know, there'll be a cut crystal glass on my 65-inch TV with ice and a slow pouring of whiskey going in there. And I go, for split second, and I mean a millisecond, my mouth will water. Or I'll go, whoa, does that look good? In my brain. And then I go, thank you, God. Because there's this thing that we used to say. It was called think, think, think. All right? Yes, for a split, because it only takes a split second. That split second, in that split second, I have to go, okay, Bev, that looks good. But where would it take you? You don't have to ride that garbage truck all the way to the dump to know where it's going, correct? And here's another thing. I have had 26 years of contented sobriety. And I don't agree with slips. A slip is when somebody mickeys you. That's a slip. Okay? It wasn't your fault. That's an accident. Or you pick up the wrong drink. You soon learn to carry your own drinks around with you, like bottled water or iced tea or something, right? That's a slip. But if you actually consciously make this decision to pick up a drink, that's not a slip. That's a full-on step off the edge. You're done. And because I've had 26 years of contented sobriety, the split second that I see that on the TV screen, there's always been the little one on one shoulder going, well, you've had 26 years of contented sobriety. You could have just one. And then there's the little one, the other one on my shoulder going, hello! Hello! Did you want to risk 26 years of contented sobriety? Because I've known people who've gone back out after years and years and years and have never been able to get contented sobriety again because they thought they were cured. So, in that split second, I go, no, ain't worth it. It only takes a second. Right? So there's a reason, you know. How did you find your spirit animal? A lot of prayer and meditation. A lot of clarity. I've always identified with wolves. Ever since I read the book, Never Cry Wolf by Farley Mowat. How he used to fix his car, by the way. And the movie wasn't as good, right? And I understood. I understood wolves. And I howl with them at night. But I'm not a wolf. It's my guide. I looked at the wolf and I learned the wolf as a really family-oriented. Why do I always have dogs? Right? The wolf is a very family, social, shy animal. And believe it or not, I've always been shy my whole life. And I have two reactions to that. Hey! You know, I always overexert myself because, you know, if people are going to notice me, they're going to notice me for not being shy, right? It was weird. But I just understood. I communicate with most animals, but I communicate with dogs best, right? And I learned a lot that the wolves are not the demons everybody has. Coyotes, they're nasty little buggers. And there is a new breed coming out where the wolves and the coyotes are breeding, and that's a dangerous thing. It's like people wanting to have a wolf dog. No. Wolves are not pets. And wolf dog, you've got... There's too many things we've done to change the canines, the canines that we have today from their roots. Okay? That it's not a healthy or a safe thing. But I can talk to the wolves. And I have at the Papanak Zoo. Thank God that place was closed. It has been closed down because they did not look after those animals. But as for, that's my guiding spirit, right? Shy, social, family social, like in a group thing, aware of a hierarchy within the system of the family, And that's how I look. That's how I've learned how to handle over the years, how to handle family, right? But the bear, and this is really, really recent that I have learned that my spirit animal is the bear. And once I figured out that my spirit animal was the bear, I know how to eat better. I'm a seasonal eater, right? Summertime, as soon as them zucchini start producing, I'll be living on salads and stir fries and fruit all summer long, even if I can't juice, right? What did I miss? And I must have found our spirit animal on Sesame Street. So I've always looked to the behavior of the wolf to guide me, right? It's an odd way to say things, but that's just the way it is. But the bear is me. I'm highly protective of my children, right? They may not think so because, you know, I've put their pictures out on the internet before without their permission, and I regret that. I really do, right? Especially now that I'm a grandmother. I'm highly protective. I spend the entire summer prepping for the long winter. And I don't go out unless I absolutely have to in the wintertime. Not because I don't like to drive, but because it's winter. And I like to hibernate and bake and knit and quilt and do Christmas ornaments and stuff. You know what, copycat? Dogs are really the moose. Oh, see, I love moose meat. Maybe I'm a grizzly. There's a picture of me, and if I can find it, I'll put it up on our next live thumbnail. Holding my cousin's grandchild, right? Now, we were at a family reunion. This is in 2008. We were at a family reunion. And have you ever seen a still shot of a grizzly bear roaring? Like that? Well, I had a cousin there, and this was on a 29-acre piece of property that, you know, my brother owns. And it was huge. There was like 110 people there. But I had a cousin who was a photographer, and she has a long-range photo lens. And she was over down the hill, and there's another cousin coming up the hill that I hadn't seen since I was a kid. So I'm looking at him going, "Who are you? I know you're a such and such," by their last name. Like, I called out the last name. I said, "But who are you?" And he said, oh my God, I've forgotten his name again. But it was one of my cousins. One of my cousin's kids. Right? So he was like my second cousin, right? But I'm holding the baby, and I'm going, and so she took a picture of me while I'm going, right? And I look like a bear protecting a baby. Right? Someone said, I posted it on Facebook, and someone said, "Mama Bear." That was my first clue. That was my first clue. I love moose meat. My favorite red meat on the planet is moose meat. And we don't moose hunt, because you need 3 people on a tag for a moose tag, and you got to know somebody with a hunting camp, and we just don't. We don't know, right? But, you know, I'll take venison, but did you know that venison actually applies to any wild game? Deer, mountain goats would be chev, but I mean, venison is just wild game meat. My mom would argue me on a spirit animal. I loved elephants, and my mom always said I never forget anything. But now I've passed the half-century mark. I definitely beg to differ. Is that a Quebec law, Bev? It's not in Ontario. I think so. Yeah, I think so. And we've had some pretty mild, and moose season is before deer season. And so you've got to, if you know, and don't get me started on global warming and climate crisis and all, because that's going to be my next topic on Rumble. I'm sorry, but I'm not one of those. Yes, let's clean up the oceans. Yes, let's stop. Let's stop coal-fired plants. Let's stop that stuff, right? Let's do. But electric cars are not going to be the answer, because the mining for the nickel and the lithium and the other stuff that has to go in those batteries causes 75% more pollution than the electric car itself saves. 75% more. So for every battery or every electric car, it costs 75% more pollution to create it. Does that make sense? No, of course it doesn't. That's right. You want to help the planet? Plant some trees. Plant a garden. Look at herbal medicine. Okay? I gotta tell you, if you need a third name on a tag, must the person need to be physically present? I don't know. And if you hit a deer here on the road, and we've hit a deer, but if you've hit a deer and it's dead, you're not allowed to take that deer home. Why? Because they think people will hunt with their friggin' cars. It's ridiculous. Oh, and the amount of pollution that an electric battery, it takes a week to put the fire out from an electric car. And in that week, the amount of pollution that it creates is horrific. Electric cars are not the answer. Okay? Yeah, people line up to take deers. Yeah, it's not the same here. It's not the same here. Right? Like where Brother John in Ohio, you can get a deer for everyone in your household. You can hunt a deer for everyone in your household, and there is no doe tag, buck tag that I'm aware of. Right? And we miss the lottery. We have to buy tickets in a lottery every May, June for a doe tag. I got a doe tag once. Right? Ended up taking a button buck, but it's called an antlerless tag. Right? It has to be released by the ministry. By the time they get there, the meat is spoiled. Well, it's different here. It's different here in Quebec. So that's what I loved about, where they were in, because deer were everywhere, and John they would fill all their quota, and they would make sure once it was butchered to make sure that the older folks and the elderly and that and maybe the single moms or whatever up and down the creek road, they made sure they had meat in their freezer. God, I love my brother John. I don't think there's a limit here. You just get another tag when you use one. A few years ago, they were begging hunts to help with the chronic wasting syndrome for deer. We're in the same situation here in Texas. If a deer is hit, there's a huge deer reservation 10 miles from my area where you can legally hunt when in season. When we drove through Texas, that's one thing I noticed. The highway was littered with dead deer. In Indiana, if you hit a deer, they have a list of people that will come and get the deer, but you can't have it. That's weird. That's really weird. But, so, Howie's going to have to try it. He's going to get a buck, Thank you, God. We were driving home from my doctors and x-rays on Tuesday. And I saw a 2-point buck, right? He still had the velvet on his antlers, and he was right beside the road. Now, I'm not saying that I'd drive up and kill that. What I'm saying is that was a sign from my spirit guide that we're getting a deer this year, because we couldn't get our doe tags. We forgot to enter the lottery for the doe tags, right? And bucks are slim pickings. And we aren't trophy hunters. We don't go out and look for a 8-10 point buck. That's tough old meat. We want like a 2-pointer. Right? And I saw one, and you never see bucks that close to the road. You almost never see bucks. They're the shyest. The females come out and feed all over the hills. And then after dark, then, he watches the does eat until he knows it's safe for him to come out, and it's usually after dark. No, you're not late. We've only been here an hour and 25 minutes. We've been here an hour and 25 minutes. Yeah, really. We are being overrun with deer on Staten Island that swim over from New Jersey, and hunting is not allowed. Ticks are on the rise, accidents are on the rise, and the cure was a vasectomy program. That's stupid. A vasectomy program for the deer. People should be eating that deer. Has nobody figured out? Like, this is the insanity of what's going on in the world right now. We get herds of does and bucks in our yard. I assume that word is. They wander into our yard to eat, and then wander off after dark before dawn. Well, see, I'm really lucky where my garden is where it is, because there's the greenhouse, and then there's the downstairs bedroom that comes out as an L, and my garden beds are on most of my garden beds are on my septic bed, and there's a narrow pathway to get to my garden because it drops off to a ravine because the septic bed had to be built up, right? So when we fill in that part of the ravine, I gotta find money for Phil. When we fill in that part of the ravine, and then we get topsoil put on, right? We're gonna have to put a fence around once. We're gonna have to like electric fence it or something, because that is actually a deer path. We've seen them come right across through the trees here that goes down into the ravine, right? What I'm saying, what I said about that buck is we're going to get a deer this year. And if we don't, it's not for lack of, if we don't, it will be because Howie doesn't get enough hunting time in. Listen, the world is, folks, we can't, all we can do is shake our heads and go to our faith and say, Creator, or whatever you call the source of your faith, Creator, Source, please fill me with the light of your love. Please help me to filter all my decisions through love. All right? Before I open my mouth. And please let me shine enough with your love that I part the darkness for anybody walking next to me, as well as myself. That's all we can do. So self-love, let's get back down to that. Self-love starts with not necessarily self-respect, self-honesty. One of the hardest things to do is to be completely honest with ourselves. Okay? And that's where journaling comes in. Especially if you're really emotional. If you're really angry or really hurt or really sad or really frustrated. Where is my journal? Oh, it's right here because I write in it all the time. And this is like journal number 5, right? Or 6. And when you pour, you don't stop to read. You just pour it all out on paper. Almost like automatic writing. I'm so mad. I hate this. I want blah, 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 blah. Or I'm so broken by the way people treat me. Or or the lack of respect, whatever the negative emotions are, or you know, and then you put it away. And when you're calm, then you do some prayer and meditation, and you ask God, your creator, your faith, to guide your way through this situation. And when you're calm, you go back and you read it. Why? Because in all of that stuff and chaos of emotion, you are now calm enough to see what was really getting to you and to do something about it. And remember, being honest with yourself is the first step towards self-love. The second step is not knowing that it's okay not to accept unacceptable behavior by yourself or by anybody else around you. You don't have to accept unacceptable behavior from anybody, including yourself. That's self-love. Knowing when to shut your mouth because you're over emotional. Knowing when to write it down or share it with God or somebody else that you trust, or write it down, okay? And then share it, either with God or another human being, you know, and then accept responsibility for your part in why you were feeling that way at that moment. Because I guarantee you, when our emotions get out of control, it's not that we're out of control. It's that we don't know how to filter them to get to the heart of the emotional issue. Does that make sense? Right? Does that make sense? So, self-love is not accepting unacceptable behavior from anyone, including yourself, and being honest about it with yourself. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, if you can't filter pain through love. I filter a lot of pain through love. And it has led me to a peaceful place most of the time where I can love people who don't understand me. I can love people who hate me because it's not for me to judge any of that. The only judge, the only person I am allowed to judge is myself. And that takes a hip load of honesty. And when you can judge yourself and find your flaws, and you can give them to God and start anew every day, like Anne of Green Gables would say, every day is fresh with no mistakes in it. Every day we get to begin anew. So, I have to go. We've been here for an hour and a half. And I just want to tell you that I don't have to see you to love you. I see you here. I don't have to know you to love you. Because I give you to God every day. Because God and love, okay? Let me put it to you this way. Hate is a disease that only love can cure. Pure love. And love is our best defense against the world, and it's our only offense. Right? Love is the answer. That's what Christ came to teach us. Love. That's the answer. You can put anything else you want on it, but if we can love ourselves enough not to judge someone else, to leave that judgment to God, or give that person to God, then we are on the right track. and we will shine through the darkness. Do you understand? This is Mrs. Wolfie from Our Half Acre Homestead saying, not everybody has a faith. Not everybody needs a faith. But all of us need to believe in the love of our Creator, because that's all we got. Right? Take care. God bless. And I'll go live again another day. All right? Mwah. And, for all the folks on Reading with Beverly Wolfie, we are probably going to go do a Little House Live tonight at about 8:30, 9 o'clock. A bedtime story for Saturday night. All right? Take care. God bless. And know that I can say I love you and totally feel it with all my heart. All right? I love you. We'll see you again soon.